Hello, welcome back to the Bioanxiety podcast. Today we have the wonderful Nicole, who is the founder of the Cellular Flow, which is a wellness initiative. And you started this after 27 years in finance, correct?
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, I will let you take it over. This is your story.
Okay, great. Thank you. Really appreciate you having me on the podcast. So basically, I started Cellular Flow, as you mentioned, after 27 years in business. I spent time as a NASDAQ trader. I spent time managing money. I did risk management and then launched my own consultancy for a while and then we went into COVID. Um, and then decided to do a complete 180 about 2 years ago and decided to focus on bringing wellness and being a conduit of wellness to people. So Cellular Flow is an initiative that is designed to create access, awareness, and education about different modalities with a critical focus on community-based initiatives. That's really the passion driving the entire bus forward for me is the community-based initiatives and helping people that need it most that don't have the access, awareness, or education.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I had one of your IV drips at the female clinic, and just so you know, I felt amazing for like 2 weeks.
I'm so happy. That's fantastic.
And I'm
That's the
terrified
goal.
of needles. So initially, how did you come up with this idea?
So it's funny. It really goes back. It was a lifestyle practice for me because I was raising my daughter. I was a single mom. And, I really started delving into focusing on her health and how to keep her healthy. And really, that's through diet, particularly with kids, right? Diet and exercise, those are always the pinnacles of wellness, right? If you're putting good things in your body and you're moving your body. Um, but I would say really focusing on taking her and my immune system in taking accountability for our own immune systems because we're not necessarily in a system that's looking out for us on the wellness
Yeah.
piece. Maybe once we're sick, it's okay and it works. But on the wellness side, what could I do to keep her healthy and myself healthy? Because being a single mother and a professional, I couldn't afford for her to be sick and have to miss school and then me have to
Mhm.
miss work. So anyway, it really was born out of, now she's 19. So almost 20 years of really focusing on how to stay well and really then turning it into my passion project and wanting to bring all of the knowledge that I've learned to other people.
That sounds amazing. I mean, health is so important. The US, I know the food is not the best, especially from someone who comes from Italy. So, and you're also part Italian, right?
Yeah.
So once you had the idea for the cellular flow, like what were the first steps that you took to make this come to life?
Well, the first thing I did, honestly, was I made a declaration in front of my friends and people that would hold me accountable to that declaration. That was first and foremost. So saying it out loud into the universe in front of people that want to see you succeed and believe in you and don't let your declarations fall by the wayside. I would say that's the absolute first step. And everybody looked at me like I was a bit nuts. But was excited and has been on this journey with me since. But then it was really just a matter of really delving into the research and development part. Coming from finance, I didn't realize, again, I know wellness as a consumer, but on the business side and as a provider and as a conduit to wellness and this industry could not be more different than growing up in finance. So the learning curve was massive, right? And I'm still on
Yeah.
it, by the way. I'm still, like right here, right? So it really just was a matter of diving in and starting to really understand what's going on in the industry, what are people doing, traveling around domestically and internationally, meeting people who have been doing a lot of these things for decades, a lot of things that are hitting commercial availability now for people to stay well have been around, but only certain people
Mhm.
had awareness or access to them. So it's really been seeing who's been doing these things for decades and what's working and what's not, and kind of sorting through all the good and the bad that's out there.
What's been like your favorite event you've done so far? Because I know you do a lot of events with
Hmm.
this, right? And can you talk a little bit more about your products and the kind of wellness treatments that you do?
Yeah. So it's hard. It's hard to your first question. It's hard to pinpoint a favorite moment because they've all been so incredible. It's just been a matter of moving around the globe, meeting really interesting people, learning a ton. And that's always my favorite thing. So whenever I'm doing something like that, as where we met at the Female Quotient Lounge for Ad Week, just meeting fascinating, good people and hearing what they're doing. That for me is a consistent theme throughout building this business. The other piece is to understand that Cellular Flow is not the provider of these modalities. Cellular Flow is the conduit to these modalities. I am not the wellness guru. I am not a medical person. My job and what I've done is researched who, as I mentioned, who has been doing this and how can I get how they've been helping to people to the broader public and again the people that don't have access to it. And there's so many of it. There's so many things. I mean, we all know the term wellness is such an overreaching thing. Um, we all know the term biohacking, which I happen to not love because it's broad. I think it's a little overused, and I think it can be misapplied, and people can actually get hurt from it. So I think that's. But I would say in a nutshell, there's so many really cool things and safe things and viable things that are working in that space for people to learn about.
Yeah, for sure. So, being an entrepreneur, which is
Mm-hmm.
what you are, right, and a business founder, I know it can be really stressful. Like, obviously, starting your own thing. Do you have like any hacks that you use for yourself to like stay balanced? Do you meditate? Like, what is your way? Like, how do you stay balanced, basically?
So I don't really believe that balance exists.
What?
Yes.
Okay, I need to hear why.
I will at least I'd say this. In business as a single mother, there was never balance because if
Okay.
you are fully and wholly focused on one of those things, it is absolutely impossible to be fully and wholly focused on the other. You could be
Yeah.
keeping balls moving forward and but making sure that both things are getting 100% at all times is not possible.
Yeah, I understand.
It's not possible.
Believe me.
And in that what I've done is a period of time as I audit both my career and my mothering, I feel like gosh, I hope in the end like as I look at it that it all kind of balanced out in hindsight because there's no one moment that it could be giving 110% to either.
Yeah, that's true. So no
Is that a
balance.
bad? Is that a bad answer? I don't want
No,
to kill
it's just
anybody's dream of attaining
no,
balance because
because
I don't think that that's
no, honestly, I find it very, very hard to have balance. So I understand that question. I'm trying, and sometimes I also don't believe there is balance because like I feel like I'm trying to keep like all the pots on the lid, or the lids on the pots closed, even. And yeah, finding balance is tough
Yeah.
thing.
And we're Italian, right? So I'm just gonna make like a little analogy that I'm just thinking of now. Like if you're cooking a 5-course meal and you have all these things going and something's coming out of the oven, but the pasta's right at the right time, but you have to take the water, but now the meat's gonna overcook. Like you can't do it all exactly precise again to the 110%. You could do it to the 90%, the 95, but I
Yeah.
feel at least what I have found is um balance over time, but
Hmm.
not in any one given moment. That's been my
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, no, like believe me, I understand what you mean. What about like what's like your favorite? I guess like do you suffer from career anxiety? How do you manage that?
Yeah, absolutely. My entire career I have. I mean, starting on Wall Street as a very young lady, there was so many anxieties. Just in being in a world that I wasn't brought up in and I wasn't versed in. So there were insecurities in my own capabilities. And yeah, I think I don't know a lot of women that don't struggle with that. But I would say for sure, even in this role, because I am new in this industry, not new as again as a consumer, but as a provider,
Mhm.
right? Um, you're constantly questioning yourself to make sure, you know, should I be doing this? Am I doing this right?
Yep.
Does this even make sense? Who do I think I am? It's like those things go on in your head.
Mhm.
But I also think that it forces you to answer those questions. And if you're aware of the loop of anxiety and what those questions are, you can then spend the time to put positive answers and mantras and affirmations and beliefs to those questions. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's hard, right? Like you're always thinking like, "Oh my God, am I doing the right thing?" And I know, I mean, not just me, but I feel like everybody I know, and it's not even just females, like every gender. I see this pattern all the time. Like, "Oh my God, why am I going to be doing this job forever? Can I do this? Do I have the right skills?" And I'm talking even about people that have like studied for things or like trained for things that still they feel like they have this imposter syndrome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yes, thank you for answering that because I never know. Like some I've had people that be like, I don't suffer from great anxiety at all. Also, so I'm just like, what? How?
Well,
Like,
that's amazing. I
yeah,
mean,
like
yeah, I
give
want
me
to know
this
their
secret.
secret.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what is next for Cellular Flow?
Cellular Flow, we have so many exciting rollouts happening. I can't get into all the details on
It's
them right now,
okay.
but I will keep you closely posted. We
Mhm.
have some very exciting events that I'll be sharing. We have some really exciting rollouts, some partners we're about to start collaborating with. So there's a lot of really big things coming. 2025 is going to be a big year. So
I love
excited.
that.
Yeah.
How does somebody, like, if somebody wants to find out about your events, is there like,
Hmm.
can they go to your Instagram? Like, what's the best way? What if somebody wants to do like an event with you? How do they reach to you?
Yeah, so basically, it's funny because, again, in finance, when you're working with people's money, they don't want you out there rah rah on
Hmm.
Instagram and talking about all the wins and the executions and the deals you've done. It's very private and
Yeah.
very confidential, right? So now, in this role, building a brand and a company, you have to be out there like rah rah, look at what we're doing, right? So that in and of itself, forget that it was like finance to wellness. It's also like kind of hiding and not talking about what you're doing to, oh, you have to be there out there all the time telling everybody what you're doing. So my socials and my website, all those things are really just getting going now. Everything we've done thus far has really been based on my relationships.
Hmm.
I've really just great, surrounded by some really great people. So I've been very lucky. So anyway, to answer your question, sorry about that.
No
Is
worries.
yeah, you could go to the Instagram, but it's really just getting going. We have the website. I mean, I'm text me, call me. Like I'm very accessible. Again, I love meeting new people, and if there's ways we can collaborate, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, I have, I think, a few people that I can send you for awesome collaborations.
Fantastic.
Um, what has been so far like one of the biggest challenges that you faced bringing this platform up?
I think when I first started, people looking at me like I had two heads because I did spend 27 years in finance. So it's like, what are you doing? Wait, it's more people saying like, wait, how did you go from like A to Z? It wasn't even, a natural progression. It was for me again because how I lived my life,
Mhm.
but on a personal basis, but really being part of the conversation and being a phone call that people make when they want wellness plugged in, either a wellness event designed or they want wellness plugged in to an event they have existing. um, you know really letting people know that you're the person to call has
Mhm.
been, I mean, it's been working out great, but it definitely in the beginning it was like, well, who are you? you
Yeah. Have,
know
have you had like bad feedback, like from people being like, "Why are you doing this?" or trying to like
no.
deter you?
Well, maybe a little bit. I think people get freaked because there are practitioners that are like, I've been studying medicine for 20 years. Who are you to come on the scene and talk about wellness? And once I explain to them, I'm not here to replace your role. I know my role, I know my lane. I'm here to bring all the magic and all the healing and all the wellness that you help people with to more people. They become a resource and part of my Cellular Flow Bible. If I need somebody to come in and talk on cardiology and heart health and eye health, whatever it is, I'm not anybody's competitor. I'm here to partner with you and bring the conduit. I'm the conduit to the people I have access to with the events.
Yeah, that's what I said. I have to say the awesome nurses that I met at your event who made me feel very calm. They were so nice. Like, 'cause I am terrified of needles.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the one that helped me, she did my IV. She was like, "It's okay, come back. I got you. Don't worry. Like,
Yeah.
just think about it."
Yeah.
I'm like terrified of needles. But yeah. So, as one last question, it's quite cliche, but what is the one piece of advice you would give your younger self?
You know, it's funny because the one thing I would say would be always keep going, but I've done that. I've gotten kicked in my teeth a lot, fallen out flat on my face, and I've kept going. So I would say the deeper message I would have conveyed to myself was that you deserve a seat at the table. You deserve to be there. If that's where you want to be and you work hard enough, you deserve to be there.
Thank you. That's very
Yeah.
inspiring, actually. I've never heard anyone say that. So thank you. Well, it was really amazing to learn more about cellular flow. I will tag you on the podcast and on the Instagram. But yeah, it was also just really nice to get to know you better. This is a really amazing initiative that you're doing. I mean, more people need access to healthcare and wellness. In America, it's just not. You know, I know you know I know why you started this.
Yes.
So
Yes.
all right, well, thank you so much. Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much.